Good morning. I'm sorry. Good afternoon, Mompers. I say good morning because I just woke up about an hour ago. I saw that you were here and I didn't want to leave you waiting. I was gonna change like my background and stuff. Uh, let's see. It's okay. We'll leave it like this. I love the beach. We can change this and we'll change. There we go. That works. How are you, Mumpers? So good afternoon, first of all, to everyone. Those of you who are on replay crew, thank you for watching and thank you for watching the replay. I am doing okay, Mom First. I haven't been on this channel in a minute, like solely on this channel. I have restreamed from my second channel to here, but I have not been on this channel, like, in a while. And last night I started thinking about, like, we were watching something and the Zodiac Killer came up. So that's going to be something I'm going to be covering in the future. And then I was also just thinking of Columbine because I came across a YouTube video where her dad. One of the victims' names was Rachel Scott, and her dad, there was a video on her dad. And it just got me thinking, like, I have not actually talked about or covered this case in a very, very long time. I mean, this happened in 1999. I was still in high school. It was very fresh, like tragic. It was ongoing, and in my mind, to me, that was the first shooting that I remember. So, yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk about it, because it was horrible, and I don't even know if I know, a lot of the details that tend to get left out, you know. So let me. Okay, I'm gonna add a layout. Let's see. No. No. I'm sorry. I'm trying to do too many things at once. But I kind of want to. Yeah, I don't like the box being so big. Sorry. Sorry. Let me edit and then edit this one. Can you? Good. I like being up here. And this one, I can throw away and save. All right. There we go. I like looking at the beach. How are you, Mom, first? So first I'm gonna pull up all the different things I want to share, and so that way it's all right here, readily available. We have that. Oh, they can't do more than one. Okay. I just had to pull it up on Google. Yeah, I'm gonna try to go over it. I think I had found a video that was like a summary, but maybe not. Let me double check because I have a lot in my watch later. Okay, let me log out of this one. I have to log into my backup, my second channel. So just for those that are here, Mom First, and whoever else is listening, my vibing with Daisy May, which to most of you is my second channel, it's going to become my main. So I'm gonna try to get in the habit of saying like my main account, you know. Okay, so I have. I guess I'm gonna have to do a little bit of research because I thought I had some up, but maybe not. All right, here we go. So I do have, and I know not everybody like uses Wikipedia as a source. I don't use it as a sole source. Let me see. I'm gonna put this window. Here, I mean, I don't want to show it too much because on here they do show a picture of the GUN, and I don't want, YouTube to pick that up. So let me prepare. Oh, it shows it any damn way. Okay. I'll just go a little bit bigger. Whatever. If they flag me, they flag me. It is what it is. I'm here to talk about it. 12 students and 1 teacher. Yeah. That's what I was reading earlier, too. Okay. So Columbine, it's also known as Columbine Massacre, Columbine shooting. The Columbine High School Massacre, commonly referred to as Columbine, was a school shooting and attempted bombing that occurred on April 20th, 1999 at Columbine High School in Columbine, Colorado, United States. The attempted bombing is what surprised me because I didn't know that. I do remember them saying that they had things that were like where he wanted to no, I don't like that. Oh, that's too small. What the heck? Where the shooters had, I guess, items in their vehicle that would have led to them believing that it was an attempted bombing also. So the perpetrators were 12th grade students, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, murdered 12 students and 1 teacher. 10 of the 12 students killed were in the school library. I remember there is a video out there somewhere where you can hear the audio of them in the library with the kids under the desk and hiding and crying and just fearing for their lives as these 2 students are in the library with their guns. And it was just like chaotic, just scary. Can you imagine the whole entire thing? Yep. Geez. So 10 of the 12 were in that one room, the school library, and then they eventually unalived themselves. 21 additional people were injured by gunshots, and gunfire was also exchanged with the police. So you not only have the 12 students who were killed and the teacher, you also have 21 additional people that were injured. Another 3 people were injured trying to escape. The Columbine Massacre was the deadliest mass shooting at a K-12 school in U.S. history until it was surpassed by the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting in December of 2012, and the deadliest mass shooting at a high school in U.S. history until the Parkland High School shooting in February of 2018. Columbine still remains both the deadliest mass shooting and deadliest school shooting to occur in the U.S. state of Colorado. Okay, so let's see. So Harris and Klebold, who planned for at least a year, they planned this for at least a year. That is so sad to think about because my senior year was one of my funnest years in high school. I don't know these guys' background. I don't know their backstory. I don't know if they had many mental health issues. I don't know if they were seeing any kind of doctors for anything they were going through. And that's why I'm kind of wanting to dig into it to see if there's anything more I can find than just what's basically here, like on Wikipedia, So kind of wanted to brainstorm until I have to leave to go get Micah, which is in like 2 hours about. So I have plenty of time to look over this and read about it because I just kind of wanted to brush up on it. It's been a minute. And even if mom first, you're the only one here with me, I appreciate you. And hopefully people are watching on replay, and if not, that's okay too. All right, so they planned this for at least a year and hoped to have a large number of victims. Intended for the attack to primarily be a bombing and only secondarily a shooting. But when several homemade bombs they planted in the school failed to detonate, the pair launched a shooting attack. Their motive remains inconclusive. So that means they don't really have a motive. But I was looking at something today. Let me see if it's in my Amazon. Because I came across it. Yeah. Let's see. Right here. Okay. I'm going to find something real quick on Amazon for whoever is watching. Let's see what the name of it is. Because I'm going to order this book. I think, I mean, it's just for me personally. I like to get details and like background and like know kind of why people do the things that they do, even though we're never going to know 100%, like we can't fathom doing things like this. So for us, we can't comprehend it, but for them, they did it, obviously. So I'm going to switch to this one real quick. So this is a book called The Writings of Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold. It's on Amazon. So it says the massacre at Columbine High School is arguably the most infamous mass shooting in American history. So what happens in here, it says that they left behind lots of interesting evidence, including many writings. This book includes nearly 300 pages of those writings, including their journals, schoolwork, website content, notes, drawings, and much more. This will make a great addition to any true crime researcher's collection. Okay. But yeah, they had a lot of their writings in this book. So I'm going to be looking for it. This is the name of it if you want to look it up on Amazon. Okay, no problem, Mom. First, I'm going to put this music on real quick and go bring my dog out because she's whining. But I will be right back. Okay, hello, I'm back. Nobody else has stepped in, so I am good. Okay. So anyway, yeah, that book I thought was interesting. I'm going to order it for myself, and then maybe I can do a review of the book or something. But I just thought it was interesting. And I know this case is really super old, but it's one that stuck with me. So that's why I'm covering it. Hi, Alexander. Good evening, or afternoon, I should say. It's not evening quite yet. But how are you today, Alexander? I am just going over this Columbine shooting. It was one of the first that I remember as far as school shootings go in the U.S., which is a very sad tragic event that happened. It was two 12th grade students who decided to go on this rampage. Okay, sorry y'all. It's getting really windy outside and the temps are dropping, and we just got over having crazy temperature. No water for 2 days. We finally have our water back on, but now we have more temperature, freezing weather coming. So I'm not looking forward to this weekend at all. All right, let me get through this paragraph. So remember, they had their bombs that they planted in the school. They failed to detonate. Let me show. Okay, I'll show this page. So here's a picture of like the victims. No, there wasn't another one. Just for anybody coming in, it's not breaking news or anything like that. Sorry to confuse everyone. I forget that we have like an international audience. Sorry, I keep hitting my mic. Um, but this was in 1999, and it was actually, like I said, one of the first that I remember. I was in high school when this happened, so it really hit home, you know. It wasn't in my town, it wasn't at a school I went to. It was just a story I followed really closely, and at the time it was really huge and it's still referred to. I mean, if you go anywhere in the United States and you say, "Do you remember Columbine?" Mostly, depending on the age, of course, will remember what happened with Columbine. So, yeah, it's not a recent story, thankfully, you know, but it is a very sad one. And this on the screen is the victims of the Columbine shooting. Why are all these ads popping up? Jeez. All right, so that's the best I can do. All right, so basically, they planned this for a year. They wanted a large number of victims. They intended on bombing the school and using the shooting as like just a secondary thing. But the bombs didn't detonate, so they decided to launch a shooting attack. It says that their motive remains inconclusive. The police were slow to enter the school and were heavily criticized for not intervening during the shooting. The incident resulted in the introduction of the immediate action rapid deployment tactic, which is used in active shooter situations, and an increased emphasis on school security with zero tolerance. Oh my God, I cannot talk today. Zero tolerance policies. Debates and moral panic were sparked over American GUN culture. I'm not going to say the word just because it's YouTube. And GUN control laws. You can see them right here. It's a pew pew. High school cliques, subcultures, outcasts, and school bullying, as well as teenage use of pharmaceutical antidepressants, the internet, and violence in video games and movies. So it seems like a lot of things were brought up. And it's the same as today. When we have a shooting, the first thing that comes up are the laws, you know, what laws are going to change, that kind of thing. That has not changed. Many makeshift memorials were created after the massacre, including ones employing victims Rachel Scott's car and John Tomlin's truck. 15 crosses for the victims and the shooters were erected on top of a hill in Clement Park. The crosses for Harris and Klebold were later removed following controversy. So they did have crosses for the shooters. Planning for a permanent memorial began in June 1999, and the resulting Columbine Memorial opened to the public in September of 2007. I'm going to open that real quick. So this is the Columbine Memorial. This is the memorial, and it has all their names written here. which is so sad. I feel like I'm talking to myself. So, replay crew, I apologize if I'm so bored, if I'm boring. But I'm so glad they were able to get that memorial put up. Okay. The shooting has inspired dozens of copycat killings, dubbed the Columbine effect, including many deadlier shootings across the world. The word Columbine has become a byword for school shootings, and that's what I mean. That it is very familiar here in the states. If they're like, oh, it's another Columbine. We all automatically know that it is a school shooting, and I think that is just so freaking sad, so heartbreaking. Before I do go on though, I do want to say, so the reason why at this time this shooting hit me really hard was because I lived in Texas at the time, and I went to, like, I was in high school, like I said, and not long after Columbine, I want to say it was probably like, oh God, I don't even want to guess. Let me just go look it up. But there was a shooting in Texas at a church where a man walked in with a gun and just started shooting. And two people from my high school attended that church. One was unalived and the other was paralyzed. So when I found out about the shooting and went to school the next day, I mean, the whole, like, we didn't do anything that day. We all just kind of went to class, but we all just kind of reflected on everything and talked about everything. And like, none of the teachers made us work that day. It was so close to the Columbine thing that it was so scary. And in fact, we did have a couple of people, survivors from Columbine, come to our school in Texas to help talk to some of the students who were grieving their friends who were shot at the church. I personally didn't know them, but they did attend our school and I saw them around school. One was on the football team, the varsity football team, and that's the one that was paralyzed and he could not play football, anymore ever again. That was taken from him due to a church shooting. So Columbine was huge. Let me see if I can find that church shooting. It was in Fort Worth. I think it's called Westwood, but I'm not sure. Okay, Google, are you gonna work today? Sorry, my keyboard's so loud, y'all. Wedgwood, that's what it was. Okay. Oh, see, that's why it was so close, and that's why I remember it like that. So this was Wedgwood Baptist Church. This shooting was in Texas. I lived there at the time, and this was September 15th of the same year as Columbine. So that's why it's very familiar. Like I said, the timing was like it was just months, and you still had these Columbine survivors trying to get through their days, and they took their time and they flew. I want to say it was like a group of 4 or 5 students from Columbine that survived that came over to our school to kind of help people get through everything that happened. But yeah, so it was a 47-year-old. He entered during a rally at the church. He killed 7 people and wounded 8 others before unaliving himself. So very, very familiar to Columbine. I mean, different setting, but you know what I mean. Um, let's see. Okay, so I don't want to read too much about the perpetrators. We know that Eric Harris was born. He's born in Wichita, Kansas. Let's see. His father was U.S. Air Force. His mother was a homemaker. They had lived in Colorado for 6 years, and then his dad retired from the military. Dylan was born in Colorado. let's see. So, yeah, there is a lot to this story that I didn't even realize. Okay, so basically in 96, Eric Harris was 15 years old. He created a private website on AOL. It was initially to host levels, also known as WADs. Harris created for use in the first person shooter video games Doom, Doom 2, and Quake. On the site, Harris began a blog which included details about Harris sneaking out of the house to cause mischief and vandalism, such as lighting fireworks with Klebold and others. These were known as rebel missions, and Harris's blog primarily consisted of mission logs. So I bet a lot of this stuff was probably in is probably in that book. So I'm gonna wait to read a lot of this from the book and then go over it with you guys. Yeah, there's a lot about their writings. There's basement tapes. Look, I'll show y'all. There's a Nixon tape. So before the massacre, Harris left a micro cassette labeled Nixon on the kitchen table. On it, Harris said it is less than 9 hours now, placing the recording at sometime around 2:30 in the morning. He went on to say, "People will die because of me, and it will be a day that will be remembered forever." See, that's what's sickening to me is that they do these things and think that they're dying, leaving a legacy of some sort behind, some sick and twisted legacy they're leaving behind. But no, it's just sickening. And then it talks about how they got the guns. So they both had a part-time job at a local blackjack pizza, and that's one of their co-workers bought one of the handguns. Let's see. The explosives. The complex and highly planned attack involved several improvised explosive devices. Harris and Klebold constructed a total of 99 bombs. These included pipe bombs, carbon dioxide cartridges. Wow, that's a lot. But none of their bombs went off inside the school, thank God. But still, it was still a horrible, horrible, horrible incident. So pipe bombs, cafeteria, car, they had knives, the massacre. So according to the shooters' respective journals and videotapes, it is believed by investigators that the pair intended to detonate their propane bombs in the cafeteria at the busiest lunch hour, killing hundreds of students. After this, they would shoot and stab survivors as well as lob bombs. Bombs set in their cars in the parking lot would also eventually detonate, killing more students as possibly any police officers, paramedics, firemen, or reporters who had come to the school. However, the bombs in the cafeteria and cars failed to detonate. Several official sources claimed they planned to shoot the fleeing survivors from the parking lot, but when the bombs failed, they moved to the staircase on the hill at the west side. Other sources claim the top of the staircase where the massacre began was their preferred spot to wait for the bombs to go off all along. So there was a total of 188 rounds of ammunition, firing nearly twice as much as Klebold. Harris fired his carbine rifle a total of 96 times. Wait, why does it say firing nearly twice as much? I don't know because I don't know, that stuff confuses me. 47 shots outside, 36 shots inside, and 13 in the library. Harris also discharged his shotgun 25 times, 21 times in the library, and 4 times inside. Klebold fired the TEC handgun 55 times, 3 shots outside, 31 in, and 21 in the library. And as you can see, the library had a lot going on. It was a horrible, horrible thing. I watched that video a long time ago. Oh, this thing tells everything. So the shooting started at 11:19 a.m. Okay. Before I begin with that, let me see if anybody else is here listening. Nobody else is here listening. I mean, there are two people here. So if you are listening, I will say that there was a book that came out about Rachel Scott. Rachel Scott is one of the most known of the victims. I mean, they're all known and remembered, but her story, her parents were very proactive. You know, they wrote a book about her life, her beliefs, um, all of those things. She was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful soul. And I read her book that same year, and it made me cry so much. But I'm just gonna show y'all Rachel Scott. So this is Rachel Scott. She was only 17 whenever she was she was murdered by them. Let's see. So she was the first fatality of the massacre, in which 11 other students and a teacher were also murdered. Scott's belief in Christianity and the circumstances of her death have led to her being remembered by groups of evangelical Christians as a Christian martyr. She was how do you say that? Posthumously the subject and co-writer of several books and the inspiration for Rachel's Challenge, an international school outreach program and the most popular school assembly program in the U.S. That's awesome. What is the Rachel's Challenge? Oh, so it's an organization that works to reduce violence. Wow. The aim of her challenge is to advocate Scott's values based on her life, her journals, and the contents of a 2-page essay penned a month before her murder entitled My Ethics, My Codes of Life. This advocates her belief in compassion being the greatest form of love humans have to offer. But yeah, this is the story of Rachel Scott. I'm going to be dropping. God, I forget I'm logged in on my backup account. Okay, let me put it right here. There you go. That should be a link. The other one didn't work. Okay, that's just the story of Rachel Scott, and just in case anyone's interested. Okay, so this just kind of shows 11:19 a.m. is when the shooting begins. $11:22 was the police response and West Entrance shootouts. So Rachel and her friend Richard were having lunch and sitting on the grass next to the west entrance of the school. Klebold threw a pipe bomb towards the parking lot. The bomb only partially detonated, causing it to give off smoke. Rachel's friend Richard thought it was more than a crude senior prank. It was no more than a crude senior prank. Likewise, several students during the incident first thought that they were watching a prank. A witness reported hearing "go, go" before Klebold and Harris pulled their guns from beneath their trench coats and began shooting. The two allegedly returned to where Rachel and Richard lay on the ground injured. Scott was killed instantly. Rachel Scott was killed instantly when she was hit 4 times with rounds fired from Harris's carbine. One shot was to the left temple. Costado was shot 8 times in the chest, arm, and abdomen by both Harris and Klebold. He fell unconscious to the ground and was left paralyzed below the chest. After firing twice, Klebold's TEC-9 jammed and he was forced to temporarily cease shooting to fix it, which he did by reloading a new magazine into his pistol. Meanwhile, Harris took off his trench coat and aimed his carbine down the west staircase in the direction of 3 students, Daniel Rorbo, Sean Graves, and Lance Kirkland. The students presumed they were paintball guns and were about to walk up the staircase directly below the shooters. Harris fired 10 times, killing Rorbo and injuring Graves and Kirkland. William David Sanders, a teacher and coach at the school, was in the cafeteria when he heard the gunfire and began warning students. Harris turned west and fired 7 shots in the direction of 5 students sitting on the grassy hillside adjacent to the steps and opposite the west entrance of the school. Michael Johnson was hit in the face, leg, and arm, but ran and escaped. Wow, I didn't know that. Mark Taylor was shot in the chest, arms, and leg and fell to the ground where he faked his death. The other three escaped uninjured. Oh my. Shot in the face, leg, and arm, but he escaped. And then you have the other one who got shot in the chest, arms, and leg, but he faked his death. And that's probably what saved his life. Klebold walked down the steps toward the cafeteria. He first shot once at the body of Dan Robar with his shotgun and then came up to Lance Kirkland, who was already wounded and lying on the ground, weakly calling for help. Oh, God, okay. Klebold said, "Sure, I'll help you," then shot him in the jaw with his shotgun. That is horrible and insane. Oh, my God. Um, let's see. Although near fatally injured, Kirkland would survive. Wow. So some of these endured so many gunshot wounds and they still survived. Graves, paralyzed beneath the waist, had crawled into the doorway of the cafeteria's west entrance and collapsed. He rubbed his blood on his face and played dead. After shooting Kirkland, Klebold walked towards the cafeteria door. He then stepped over the injured Graves to enter the cafeteria. Graves remembers Klebold saying, "Sorry, dude." What? This is not just a sorry event. Like, you literally just murdered people and you're going to just say, "Sorry, dude." These kids were clearly disturbed. Klebold only briefly entered the cafeteria and did not shoot at the several people still inside. Officials speculated that he went to check on the propane bombs. Harris was still on top of the stairs shooting and severely wounded and partially paralyzed 17-year-old Anne Marie Hochhalter as she tried to flee. Klebold came out of the cafeteria and went back up the stairs to join Harris. They each shot once at students standing close to a soccer field but did not hit anyone. They walked towards the west entrance, throwing pipe bombs in several directions, including onto the roof. Only a few of these pipe bombs detonated. Witnesses heard one of them say, "This is what we always wanted to do. This is awesome." Oh my God, that gives me the chills and it makes me so mad. Meanwhile, art teacher Patty Nielsen was inside the school. She had noticed the commotion and walked toward the west entrance with student Brian Anderson. Nielsen had intended to walk outside to tell the two students knock it off, thinking they were either filming a video or pulling a student prank. As Anderson opened the first set of double doors, the gunman shot out the windows, injuring him with flying glass. Nielsen was hit in the shoulder with shrapnel. Anderson and Nielsen ran back down the hall into the library, and Nielsen alerted the students inside to the danger, telling them to get under desk and to keep silent. She dialed 911 and hid under the library's administrative counter. Anderson fell to the floor, bleeding from his injuries, then hid inside the magazine room adjacent to the library. I mean, if you just picture the scene, the whole thing is just chaotic. You have some kids who don't even know if this has really happened. They thought it was paintball guns, and then you find out that it's real. You have the teacher and other students thinking that this is just some prank because remember, these are seniors. They were 12th grade students. So, they probably, a lot of them thought that this was just a prank. Can you imagine the moment that you find out something like this is real? It's like, okay, no, this is really happening and my life is in danger. Okay, so 11:22, police response in West Entrance shootouts. At 11:22 a.m., a custodian called Deputy Neil Gardner, the assigned resource officer at Columbine, on the school radio, requesting assistance in the senior parking lot. The only paved route took him around the school to the east and south on Pierce Street, where at 11:23 a.m., he heard on his police radio that a female was down and assumed she had been struck by a car. While exiting his patrol car in the senior lot at 11:24, he heard another call on the school radio. "Neil, there's a shooter in the school." Harris at the west entrance immediately turned and fired 10 shots from his carbine at Gardner, who was 60 yards away. So this is Harris, the student. shooting at the deputy. As Harris reloaded his carbine, Gardner leaned over the top of his car and fired 4 rounds at Harris from his service pistol. Harris ducked back behind the building, and Gardner momentarily believed that he had hit him. Harris then reemerged and fired at least 4 more rounds at Gardner, the deputy, which missed and struck 2 parked cars before retreating into the building. No one was hit during the exchange of gunfire. Gardner reported on his police station, "Shots in the building. I need someone in the south lot with me." By this point, Harris had shot 47 times and Klebold 5. The shooters then entered the school through the west entrance, moving along the main north hallway, throwing pipe bombs and shooting at anyone they encountered. Klebold shot Stephanie Munson in the ankle, but she was able to walk out of the school. The pair then shot out the windows to the east entrance of the school. After proceeding through the hall several times and shooting toward and missing any students they saw, they went toward the west entrance and turned into the library hallway. Deputies Paul Smoker and Paul Magger, motorcycle patrolmen. Okay, so you have 2 more officers. When they saw Deputies Scott, Rick, and Kevin following them in their patrol cars, they abandoned their motorcycles for the safety of the car. All right, so let's see. Inside the school cafeteria, Dave Sanders and 2 custodians initially told students to get under the tables, then successfully evacuated students up the staircase leading to the second floor of the school. The stairs were located around the corner from the library hallway and the main south hallway. He then tried to secure as much of the school as he could. Sanders and another student were at the end of the hallway where he gestured for students in the library to stay before encountering Harris and Klebold, who were approaching from the corner of the north hallway. Sanders and the student turned and ran in the opposite direction. Harris and Klebold shot at them both, with Harris hitting Sanders twice in the back and neck, hitting his teeth on exit, but missing the student. The latter ran into a science classroom and warned everyone to hide. Klebold walked over towards Sanders, who had collapsed, and tossed a pipe bomb, then returned to Harris up the library hallway. Yeah, so most of this stuff went down in the library. So now it's 11:29 to 11:36. The library massacre. See if anybody else has come in. Nope. My live is boring today, I guess. Let's see if my nightbot is working. Oh, well. Okay. I gotta do it on this side. No, I don't think nightbot is working. Okay. No worries. So at 11:29 a.m., Harris and Klebold enter the library. 52 students, 2 teachers, and 2 librarians were inside. So the library seemed to be what they all considered, hey, maybe this would be a safe place for us to go. Let's all go to the library. A lot of people ended up there. Yeah, 52 students, 2 teachers, and 2 librarians. Harris yelled at everyone to get up, loud enough to be heard on the 911 call. When no one complied, Harris yelled, "Fine, I'll start shooting anyway." Harris fired his shotgun twice at a desk. Student Evan Todd had been standing near a pillar when the shooters entered the library and had just taken cover behind a photocopier. He was hit by wood splinters in the eye and lower back, but was not seriously injured. He then hid behind the administrative counter. The gunman walked into the library towards the 2 rows of computers. Sitting at the north row was disabled student Kyle Velasquez. Klebold fired his shotgun, fatally hitting him in the head and back. They put down their ammunition-filled duffel bags at the south or lower row of computers and reloaded their weapons. They then walked between the computer rows towards the windows facing the outside staircase. Throughout the massacre in the library, they ordered everybody to get up, said how long they had been waiting for this, and seemed to be enjoying themselves, shouting things like "woo" after shooting. While ordering the jocks to stand up, one of the 2 said, "Anybody with a white hat or a sports emblem on it is dead." Wearing a white baseball cap at Columbine was a tradition among sports team members. Nobody stood up, and several students tried to hide their white hats. Oh my goodness. This story just breaks my freaking heart. Windows were shot out in the direction of the recently arrived police. Officers returned fire at the gunman, and the gunman retreated from the windows. No one was injured. Klebold removed his trench coat. He then fired his shotgun at a nearby table, injuring three students: Patrick Ireland, Daniel Steepleton, and Mackay Hall. Harris walked toward the lower row of computer desks with his shotgun and fired a single shot under the first desk while down on one knee. He hit 14-year-old Stephen Kerno with a mortal wound to the neck. He then moved to the adjacent computer desk, injuring 17-year-old Casey Ruegseger with a shot which passed completely through her right shoulder, also grazing her neck and severing a major artery. When she started gasping in pain, Harris said, "Quit your bitching." Harris then walked to a table. Let me turn off all these. Okay. Harris then walked to a table south of the lower computer table with two students underneath, Cassie Bernal and Emily Wyant. Harris slapped the surface of the table twice as he knelt and said peekaboo before shooting Bernal once in the head with the shotgun, killing her. Oh my God, such evil. Harris at this point held the gun with one hand and the weapon hit his face in recoil, injuring his nose. He told Klebold he had done so, and Klebold responded, "Why'd you do that?" After fatally shooting Bernal, Harris turned toward the next table where Brie Pascal sat next to the table rather than under it. Harris's nose was bleeding. Witnesses later reported that he had blood around his mouth. Harris asked Pascal if she wanted to die, and she responded with a plea for her life. He laughed and responded, "Everyone's going to die." When Klebold said "shoot her," Harris responded, "No, we're going to blow up the school anyway." Klebold noticed Ireland trying to provide aid to Hall. So, okay, I'm not going to go through every single victim, but basically this tells you how everything unfolded inside of the library. And it's just horrible. Each victim that they tell the story of is just crazy. Um and then at 12:08 is when they unalive themselves. So after leaving the library, Harris and Klebold entered the science area where they caused a fire in an empty storage closet. It was extinguished by a teacher who had hidden in an adjacent room. The gunmen then proceeded toward the south hallway where they shot into an empty science room, and then at 11:44 they were captured on the school's security cameras as they re-entered the cafeteria. The recording shows Harris crouching against the rail on the staircase and firing toward the propane bombs left in the cafeteria in an unsuccessful attempt to detonate them. As Klebold approached the propane bomb and examined it, Harris took a drink from one of the cups left behind. Klebold lit a Molotov cocktail and threw it at the propane bomb. About a minute later, the gallon of fuel attached to the bomb ignited, causing a fire that was extinguished by the fire sprinklers a few minutes later. They left the cafeteria at 11:46. So they go back to the library. It was empty of survivors except for the unconscious Ireland and the injured Cruz. Once inside at 12:02, police were shot at again through the windows. Nobody was injured. Um, let's see, nobody was injured. By 12:05, all gunfire from the school had ceased. By 12:08, both gunmen had unalived themselves. Harris sat down with his back to a bookshelf and fired his shotgun in this manner. Klebold went down on his knees and shot himself in the left temple. An article by the Rocky Mountain News stated that Patty Nielsen overheard them shout 1, 2, 3 in unison just before a loud boom. Nielsen later said that she had never spoken with either of the writers of the article. So then that's okay. So an article did come out stating that Patty Nielsen had overheard them shouting this, but Nielsen later said that she had never spoken with either of them, so that might not even be true. Oh, in 2002, the National Enquirer published 2 post-mortem photos of Harris and Klebold in the library. That is insane. Klebold's gun was underneath his body and so unseen in the photos, leading to speculation that Harris shot Klebold for himself. However, some of Klebold's blood was on Harris's legs. Also, just before shooting, unaliving himself, Klebold lit the cocktail on a nearby table, underneath which Patrick Ireland was lying, which caused the laptop to momentarily catch fire. Underneath the scorched film of material was a piece of Harris's. Okay. Jesus, this is a lot. So he had SWAT that came in, the boy in the window. So Patrick Ireland had regained and lost consciousness several times after being shot by Klebold. Paralyzed on his right side, he crawled to the library windows where on live television at 2:38 p.m. he stretched out the window, intending to fall into the arms of two SWAT team members standing on the roof of an emergency vehicle, but instead falling directly onto the vehicle's roof in a pool of blood. He became known as the boy in the window. The team members Don Kramer and John Romaniak were later criticized for allowing Ireland to drop more than 7 feet to the ground while doing nothing to try to ensure he could be lowered to the ground safely or break his fall. So I'm kind of curious, though, if this Patrick Ireland guy made it. If he jumped out of the window. Hey, JR Nana, thank you for stopping by and showing love and light, sending love and light your way as well. I'm kind of just talking into, my mic, hoping that someone listens someday and goes back and listens to this. But I had never known a lot of the details of this Columbine shooting, so it's shocking, just even for me. But I want to know if Patrick Ireland made it. Let me look that up. So he was half paralyzed, and he... Oh my gosh, who is all these people? Okay. OMG. Okay, so what was it? Patrick Ireland. My computer is not participating with me today. Okay, let's see. So yeah, he made it. According to the New York Post in 2019, it says, boy in the window in Columbine massacre recounts his escape from ruthless killers. Let's see what he has to say. Is there a video? Yeah, right here.
After question about who I was, what dust particles started to fall from the ceiling and the ground was shaking, that's when we knew it was pretty real.
It was April 20th, 1999 in Littleton, Colorado. Pat Ireland was a junior in high school.
My head, it came above the table just maybe an inch or two. And as soon as I did that, the gunman saw me off from a distance, and that's when I was hit. I was shot twice in the head and once in the foot.
The Columbine massacre horrified and changed a nation.
I'm just so shocked that he actually, he survived all of those shootings, and then he's got enough strength to get to the window to try to get out of there. Wow, it's just so crazy.
Massacre horrified and changed a nation. Dylan Klebold and Eric Harris killed 13 and injured 24. Patrick Ireland was shot 3 times. With 2 bullets in his head and paralyzed on one side, he found the strength to escape out the window.
The SWAT team shouted at me from a distance to stay there and to hang on, and they would come get me.
The image of his escape.
I mean, if you're looking at it from how it is right here and the way it was described in the article I was reading, it says that he falls out and he falls onto the roof. So I don't know if they're going to show that here, but it seems to me that the officers or whoever these 2 guys are here, that they have a pretty good read on the situation and that they're on it. So I don't know what they're going to show, but it looks like they were there to catch him and that he didn't hit the roof. But I mean, I don't know. It is Wikipedia that I was reading from too, so the source is kind of eh. But hey Skittles, I'm just going over and talking about the Columbine shooting. I didn't realize so many details that I didn't know, because this happened like when I was in high school, and I had never really went back and like read through how everything unfolded, and it's just so sad. But how are you today, Skittles? Thank you for being here, by the way. Let's see if I can. I'm not logged in on my. Let me log in on my other account so I can share links and such, because I'm guessing my Nightbot account I can only have attached to one channel at a time. I'm not sure, but either way. All right, so this is Skittles channel. Yeah, and there's not many people here, Skittles. It's only been like 2 or 3 throughout the whole thing. And that's okay. Hopefully, like I said, someday someone will be able to watch this on replay, because the Columbine High School thing was kind of like the beginning for me anyway, as far as school shootings go. And like I said, I was in high school at this time, so it really hit close to home. And it was so scary and just so much going on. Let's see what else this. Did I just? Oh yeah, okay. I thought I closed it. All right, let's continue.
Escape played out for the whole world to watch. He was rushed to the hospital.
When I was in the ambulance, there was a number of times where they were just, asking me.
It looked like he fell. I mean, it was rough, but it was, he fell decently. But right here on Wikipedia, this is why I don't like Wikipedia as a resource, honestly. Right here it says that he fell onto the vehicle's roof, but I mean, it looked like they did a pretty good job and did what they could. They absolutely did their best.
Question after question about who I was, what my name was, if I could remember my parents' names.
Emergency surgery to save his life lasted for hours. They removed a bullet in his forehead, but the other was deeply lodged in the left half of his brain, so they left it there. His parents were told he might never walk or talk again.
Here is Pat working with Sarah.
But soon, he was proving them wrong.
The brain is really an amazing thing, and the fact that it was able to recreate a lot of those pathways was I was very fortunate.
He had to learn not only how to walk, but to talk and write over months of rehabilitation.
I feel really fortunate to be in the position that I'm in now. Through everything that had happened, I probably wouldn't have gone to the school that I went to, and as a result, I probably wouldn't have met my wife, probably wouldn't have gone into the career that I went into.
Pat is a managing director working in finance. He and his wife, Casey, have an 8-month-old little girl. He says if his past is any indication, Giffords has a good chance of recovery.
Oh, geez. At least that was an ending that was horrifying, but he made it out. He made it out. He's married. He has a kid. He has a good job. Like, I like hearing the stories of the survivors, and I feel so bad for the victims' families, and it just breaks my heart. JR Nana, it is interesting. The OG of school shootings, right? That's what I think of. To all who were lost and those who survived to relive it over and over again, may we all learn to become better humans. I love that, JR Nana. I couldn't have said that better myself. I agree. It was the OG, though, for sure. It's the first one I remember. So this one says at 2:15, students placed a sign in the window bleeding to death in order to alert police and medical personnel of Dave Sanders' location in the science room. They thought it was a ruse by the shooters. And then they They moved to the storage room. As they did so, a paramedic arrived and found Sanders had no pulse. He had died of his injuries in the storage room before he could receive medical care. He was the only teacher to die in the shooting. Oh, breaks my heart. Okay, so let's see. I don't want to read too much on here. I'm going to stop sharing for now. I'm going to present this screen just because it shows a lot of like your messages are getting deleted. What do you mean? I don't see any of your messages getting deleted. I'm looking on the YouTube side, Skittles. I don't see any. I don't see any getting deleted. Huh. That's weird. Let me check my. Let's see. Hold on, Skittles, because I don't know why your comments would be being deleted, but I don't like that. So I'm going to look into something right here. Okay. That's weird, Skittles, and I don't like that. I'm sorry that your comment seems to be getting removed, but I'm not removing any comments, so I don't know. That's strange. Rest in peace to all who have been affected by school shootings. Yeah, they were, but now they're not. Must be a YouTube thing. Yeah, I have no idea. No clue. YouTube is freaking tripping. Okay, so I can't see chat right now, but I wanted to just kind of scroll through, like whenever you go to Google and you type in Columbine. Well, let's look at this picture. Like these kids right here just look so unhinged. They don't look okay, you know? God, I can't type. Okay. So these are the pictures that sadly now have become, like, we've seen so many of these now with so many different shootings at movie theaters, malls, nightclubs, schools. Like I said, there was one at a church. But it's just so heartbreaking. And if I could find the book about Rachel Scott's story, if you guys can, I don't know the name of it. I could look it up, but the Rachel Scott, her book really, really, really touched my heart. But yeah, this is so sad. Yeah, I know, Skittles, but I don't like when anything like that goes on. You know, and I don't know what the heck is going on. I don't want nobody's comments to be being removed. This was a short. Let's see. This is a short called Columbine as It Happened. Okay, I'll pause it real quick. All right, let's see if I can zoom in. Oh, not out. Okay. Oh, that's too close. I hate getting used to this PC. Oops. All right. I don't know if there's any sound because I don't hear it. There it is. I didn't present that one. Yay. I'm so not with it today. Very sad, innocent lives taken for no reason. Yes, way too many Skittles. Way too many. What do you mean, number 5? Were 5 comments now removed? Tell me what comments are being removed. What did you say in them? Because I see them all on StreamYard. Even if they're removing them on the YouTube side, I can still see everything on StreamYard. So, what comments are being? And okay, like I'll show you. So, let's see. You said, hey everyone. You said thanks a lot. It's horrible. Oh my god. I'm gonna show you the ones I have. That way you can see if any of these were deleted. Might be a YouTube thing. Oh, number 5 on likes. Gotcha. Okay, I was getting worried. I was like, hold up. What is really happening? Okay, let's see. It's 44 minutes. CBS. I don't know. They have the Uvalde one. Oh no. This one's 45 minutes. Craig Scott. Craig Scott is Rachel Scott's father, I believe. Let's see.
This is just dozens and dozens of students that are fleeing for safety.
We have had reports of shots being fired inside the school.
We do have some fatalities.
I heard some gunshots and then bullets ricocheting off lockers. Most people think that it'll never happen to you at your school, and unfortunately, it has.
Oh, so he was able to escape. This is Rachel Scott's brother. Okay, so I didn't know this. So her brother also went to the same school as her. It's okay, Skittles. Yeah, I was just trying to figure it out. But it all should be good. So this is Rachel Scott's brother. He went to school with her. His sister Rachel was killed.
When I go back to the school, it's both just my high school, where I had friends, where I had teachers and classes and homework, and I was on the wrestling team. It's also where Rachel died. It's also where Matt and Isaiah died. It's also where my life changed forever. I was a sophomore when the shooting happened. On April 20th, 1999, I was in the bathroom perfecting my hair, and my sister was waiting for me. I got in the car. She was getting on to me about making us late, and we started getting into an argument. And the last moment I had with her was I slammed the car door shut on her.
Oh.
No idea that'd be the last time I'd see her.
Oh my god, that makes me want to cry. It just puts into perspective that like you really never know, especially nowadays, what can happen. You don't know if when you have an argument with someone and you leave angry or you say something angry, and like in his situation, they were arguing because they were kind of running late and they were trying to rush to school, and the last thing he remembers doing was slamming the door and like walking away, I guess, and didn't know that was the last time he was ever going to see his sister. And that kind of regret like lingers when you have someone that passed away. That is the worst part of grief, is dealing with grief. I'm sorry. The worst part of grief is dealing with guilt. Stuff that you wish, the what ifs, and had I not done this, and so on and so forth. So it is heartbreaking to know that his last moment that he remembers of his sister was them two arguing and him slamming the door. I feel so bad for this guy. So bad for him.
During my lunch period, I went to the school library to study for a test. I heard these popping noises coming from outside the school. They started to get louder. And then this teacher ran into the room. She was completely frantic. She ran over to the phone to call the police, and while she was on the phone, she kept yelling at all of us to hide and get underneath the tables. So I got underneath the table with my friend Matt. My friend Isaiah was walking by. I called out his name, and he came over and sat next to me. I realized at that point that something serious was happening.
Oh, so sad and heartbreaking. My son had a best friend named Isaiah in high school. Well, all through middle school and high school, honestly. Um, yeah, and he says that Isaiah and Matt didn't make it. You know, he said earlier in this video that they had passed away. So he has his friend right next to him right here.
The library was the first room the shooters came into. They were shooting off their guns immediately. They were mocking students before they shot or killed them, and they treated it like it was a game. They came over to where I was, and they shot and killed Isaiah, and then they shot and killed Matt. At some point, I had just decided to lie down and pretend to be dead. I was feeling so much fear, I thought I was going to die. I literally felt like my heart was going to stop beating. A couple minutes went by, and I felt like I heard a very strong inner voice speak and just...
I'm going to read this part. This wall of healing is dedicated to those who were injured at Columbine High School and to all who were touched by the tragic events of April 20th, 1999. Oh.
said to get out of there. I saw the shooters had left. So I yelled at everyone, "Come on, let's get out of here."
Wait,
And
I'm
then we
sorry.
were
I want to read these things because I've never
at
been
the
here.
room, and I saw the shooters had left. A couple minutes went by, and I felt like I heard a very strong inner voice speak and just said to get out of there. I saw the shooters had left.
The hardest part to understand was kids killing kids. Oh.
So I yelled at everyone,
The definition of normal changed on that day. And that's from a parent.
"Come on, let's get out of here." And
A kid my age isn't supposed to go to that many funerals. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'll let it play, I promise.
and we were running out of the room, and I was so thankful to be alive. But at the same time, I actually felt really bad because I left my friends underneath that table.
It was just a regular class day at school.
It was until about 40 minutes ago.
How's it feel to see your friends?
Feels good.
Really good.
Oh, man.
The first thing I did was I called my mom, and I said, "Mom, I'm okay, but I think there's something wrong with Rachel." And I don't even know why I said that. I got home. My family was shocked to see me because I had blood all over my clothes, and we were all watching the news, and we were waiting to hear from Rachel.
Oh, y'all have to read the book. If y'all are interested in this, you're watching right now, there is a book about the story of Rachel Scott. And it's so... I think everyone needs to
We
read
ended
it.
up waiting all night. She didn't call. The next morning, we got a phone call from the police department, and they told us that Rachel was the first one that was killed.
Oh, it's so
My mom
sad.
came down to tell me the news, and I could see on her face that she was just so worried about me and how I was going to take it. I put my hands on her shoulders, and I said, "Mom, I'm going to be okay. God's going to take care of me."
Aw.
The next thing I remember happening was that there were people in our house, and we got a call from the Today Show, and they said, "We'd like to have you on with Isaiah's dad." And I wanted to give Isaiah's dad a hug.
Thank you so much for being here. We are so terribly sorry about your son.
Okay.
It was 2 mornings later, after the shooting on April 22nd. The camera lights were out, and it was pouring snow.
Craig, how you doing this morning?
It's hard.
You were in the library with Isaiah and another good friend.
I started to share about what happened to me, and I shared about Isaiah's last moments.
They said there's a N-word over here, and Isaiah tried to back up.
Oh my gosh.
And they shot Isaiah.
He's crying, hearing about the last moments of his son. He's holding my hand. And then I start to talk about Rachel, and I started to cry.
All these people that I was praying for, they were other brothers and sisters were showing up.
But not your sister.
It was the first time I started to talk about my sister on camera.
Some of your sister's friends I know have turned her car into a memorial.
She was set apart from our school in a way I thought she was more grown up.
I had no idea that would be something that I would be doing 1,000 more times over the next 20 years.
Jeez, this story is so sad. Okay, I'm going to drop this one in the chat if anybody wants to watch this one, and I'll also have them linked in my description below. Since it seems to be just me here and not many are on right now, I'm going to go ahead and call it a day on this. Like I said, I wanted to cover the Columbine shooting. It was a big deal in my life at the time because I was also in high school, and it was just a lot. And since then, we have had so many that now it's becoming a normal thing. And that is what is the saddest, sickening part. Like shootings anywhere is becoming the norm. And it just breaks my heart. I wish that the world could be a better place. Just remember to be a kind human. That's all. Just be a kind human. Leave all the hatred and anger and violence out of your hearts. This world has enough of it. We don't need more of it. But anyway, I hope you all have an amazing Friday, and I will be around on YouTube later. And I appreciate the few that did come in and listen. I don't know if I'll leave this live up. I'll see how it does over the next couple days, but if not, I'll probably just unlist it or something. But yeah, thank you all for being here. I am out. I'll see you around. Bye.